using social media for marketing and communication. So those are the two solutions. The third solution that we have is actually catered for franchisors, or rather pre-franchisors, or those with multiple outlets. So our system has been designed to cater for multiple outlet management. Now, this is useful when you have multiple stores and you want to centralize the point of sale, meaning that your franchisees or outlets cannot sell anything that's not in the point of sale, or rather they create their own item to sell in a point of sale. You centralize the inventory so that you can actually facilitate the outlets to submit orders through the system automatically when the stock level goes below the trigger point. It allows the HQ or the franchisor to have a bird's eye view of the businesses. So they can literally tell which outlet is making money and what is the top 10, for example, inventory for each of the outlet. But the whole idea is that when you have this kind of centralized management system to manage your membership, vouchers, and even stamp, you now have the ability to consolidate all the members that is served through your outlets and use that to improve your brand awareness, right? And so when you go to the market, when you go to the bank, you can literally say how many customers that you are reaching out with, say, the 10, 20 outlets that you have established. So our goal with iFranchise Store is a platform that we are helping PERNAS and Malaysian Franchise and Digital Association to promote local franchise brands to the regional market. It's also a place to educate and learn all about the retail, variety topics about retail management, best practices. It also allows investors to come on board to engage with the respective franchise stores individually. But ultimately, iFranchise Store will become the new CTOS, a CTOS where it doesn't only tell the history of the director's financial state, but also tell the investor the real story behind the operation, the sales, the day-to-day sales of the franchise. So that's the game plan for iFranchise Store. So if you've never seen our solution, which is called iBox Fan Merchant, by the way, you actually see that it can be downloaded to any Android phone. We don't support iOS. This is by design so that we can improve the affordability. So just with an Android phone, a cheap 300 Android phone, you are ready to run with your point of sale. The point of sale is easy to set up, and once you set up, essentially your store will be made available to the consumer app, and that's where the consumers will download the iBox Fan app, can also opt in to become a member of your store. However, all the data is also stored in the cloud and can be accessed through our MAP system, which stands for Merchant Agent Platform, which pretty much tells you how your business is performing on a day in, day out basis. I believe I mentioned also that iBox or Duogo, after we changed the name, we now have branded our franchise as the iBox chain. So if you can imagine, you walk into our retail, you can actually see the products that our merchants, the 400 and growing merchants, are selling they can actually choose and rent a shelf space to display their products in our store. But it also acts as a digital transformation center. This is where the agents can actually bring all these small merchants, micro businesses to come and visit, where they can actually spend a few hours learning about the basics of digital transformation, uh, even as simple as how to use Excel to analyze data that they have kept uh, in our server, and how they can actually uh, manipulate and leverage on those data. So it is both a retail space and also a digital transformation center. So just let me quickly share with you some case studies so that you can actually appreciate how our solution is being applied. Now this is an interesting case study. We have a dim sum seller that has around 10 stores, which is located in all the pasars, right? So they just use our terminal, which is loaded with our point of sale. So with that terminal, they can accept cash, e-wallet, and even IPX. Because all these 10 shops are interlinked, to or rather linked up back to the HQ, the HQ or the management has a bird's eye view of how sales are performing across the board. So reporting is easy. In fact, uh, the total sales that this dim sum seller has generated over the last 12 months is actually 1.6 million. Can you imagine that? A dim sum seller who's not even manufacturing their own frozen dim sum, who buys from a third party, is actually making 1.6 million just by using our system. And in fact, using the data generated by the system, he can now negotiate with the suppliers of the frozen dim sum for better rates, or rather bulk purchases, because he knows exactly the pattern of the demand that each outlet and locality provides. Okay, so that this is a excellent case study in how a small business. So this can apply to any petty traders actually. On a more traditional retail business, like a optical shop, they too are using our point of sale to collect. So you have your standard features like deposit. You can accept 8 e-wallets, payments from 8 e-wallets, and not to mention IPX. They actually utilize our voucher management to encourage their loyal customers to come back. They also have inventory management that links up two of their outlets so that they can track the inventory usage, and of course a consolidated report. So these are all the benefits that they receive from our solution, and which they have subscribed. So this sale obviously is not as good as the dim sum, but still a respectable sale number. Right? So the third part is where we actually work with the ERP. We work on the ERP solution with a client which has the second largest market share for auto parts and accessory supply. So this solution is a bit unique because we actually help them to build B2B and B2C portals, and also converted their existing desktop-based um, automotive industry related ERP into an entirely cloud-based ERP where they can do just-in-time inventory management. And so the idea is that every workshops that carry their parts will actually utilize our point of sale. And so uh, we also intend to introduce a warranty management services to enable any consumer to actually get standard warranty management from the part supplier. Okay, so the four case study is similar. So I think that's all for me. I happy to answer any queries that you have pertaining our solution. And so I leave the floor for any questions.
Hi, yeah, thanks, Razak, for your presentation, and I find it very interesting. I think a lot of people want to know a few questions that I have in mind. One of it is actually the funding part. You mentioned about using your system, then you can link them up to with the data available to financials and to obtain working capital and so on. How this is done, actually? Is there a panel of banks that working with you right now or what?
Okay, that's a good question, Andrew. So what our main goal is really to help um, our SMEs in many facets. Of course, in order to achieve in order to achieve that financing part of the equation, you first need data. I think that CTOS is a flawed system. It is, of course, largely used by banks to determine your fate in terms of whether you get the bank loan or not. But for many SMEs, it might be detrimental because banks don't really see the actual potential of your business. Now, why we focus on retail is because we feel that, for example, a point of sale system can actually be a very good sensor to collect data for the merchant. And that once that data flows in and you break down the data, you have many useful data, such as how many customers are you serving? Obviously, the more important thing, how much sales are you generating? Today, if you go to the bank and say, yeah, I'm making 20,000, 30,000 a month, but your bank statement somehow doesn't reflect that, or you don't put the money in the bank, so the bank will question whether you are telling the truth or not. So they can't verify. The good thing about using a third party's solution like us, which is now even hosted on Huawei Cloud, we can literally certify that those payment transactions, be it cash or even e-wallet, of course we prefer cashless because it's easier to trace. We can actually verify the the authenticity of the transaction. So that gives the financials more confidence. Now, obviously, you need a large amount of data in order to form a pattern. So that's why we encourage our merchants to actually uh, have data collected for at least 6 months. Now, as to how we help them, we consciously connect with P2P financiers as well as uh, licensed lenders, right? And of course, some of them, as you know, a licensed lender cannot provide a higher interest, any interest higher than 18% per annum. So that will give you about 1.5% maximum each month.
Yeah.
Now, for a good running business, 1.5% is actually not significant. I can tell you why. For example, right, if you buy bulk purchase and I'm giving you working capital, uh, typically you might buy your raw material at say a few thousand, 1 or 2,000. So you buy a few times because you're rolling the cash, right? Now, what if I can lend you immediately 20,000?
Yeah.
You can probably negotiate a rebate from the supplier of between 3 to 5%. So that's saving, right?
Yeah.
That's saving. And so if you think about it, what's 1.5% that you're
Yeah.
paying to borrow that 20,000? So you're
Yeah.
actually making back between 1.5 to 2.5 easily. So that's one way of looking at it. Of course, ultimately you can't compare getting a loan, for example, guaranteed by CGC, which may be offered at 6 to 8% per annum with these licensed lenders.
Yeah.
But for actually running business that are doing quite well with cash flow, this is definitely a viable option,
Mm.
right? Right. And plus, most of these financiers can offer you a fluid financing scheme, meaning that you don't have to for example, when you go to a bank, when you apply for a loan, they'll give you a 5-year term. They give you a 3-year to 5-year term, right?
Yeah.
And then you're paying the installment. But at the working level, you need to roll the money every 3 months. Once you get the half a million, for example, or say 100,000 loan from the bank, you are just paying off the installment, but the
Yeah.
money is gone. So how can you can't go back to the same bank and ask for another loan, because they'll say, I can't give you another loan because you haven't paid the old one.
Yeah.
But with a lot of finance companies, they have that flexibility. So as long as you can show proof, and so our goal here is to show them, to share with them your data. So for example, if they can see how much inventory you utilize and how much sales you're generating, they can afford to consider uh, working capital for you to buy raw materials.
Yeah.
At the same time, they can also do purchase financing also. So,
Mm.
so that's a benefit. But of course, you have to start off by having a system that can collect those information and organize it in a useful way so that these bankers can understand.
I see. So so Duogo has the ability to actually reconstruct the data and organize it in the way that banks can
Correct,
understand.
correct. So what we now we have a few case studies where we are actually helping them out with financing, because they already have a sales track record. Okay, and but moving forward, we also helping them beyond just financing, but also on the technology side.
Yeah.
For example, we are working closely with a partner to provide unmanned convenience store solution, meaning that literally every shelf has sensors and cameras that can detect what you're taking out from the shelf, and then it's auto billing kind of thing. Although it sounds far-fetched, but we already have some clients in the market that is going with this solution. But a more practical solution maybe is a computer vision solution that, imagine you put a tray of all the pantries or pastries under the camera, and it can auto calculate the items without without having a cashier to key in one by one. So it
They
will
actually
shorten
use
the queue.
recognition, actually use
Yes,
image recognition technology.
right. So that's where our partnership with Huawei comes in handy,
Okay.
right?
What
So
what what would you advise SMEs or even businesses like those who are attending here on the concept of digitalization? Because you know why? I think to me, digitalization has been, it's a word that probably has been misused because a lot of people tend to understand it as going online, creating your website, do social media, right? The kind of thing.
right. So by definition, digital transformation means that you are adopting digital technologies to come out with value propositions for your customers, right?
Yeah.
Or even to create new business model. Obviously, e-commerce and social media is something easy to understand. So I'm not surprised that many merchants or many SMEs start with that. But if you look at it, digital transformation can also happen at the operational level. For example, just-in-time inventory. Now, you might be able to generate a lot of sales from the social media engagement and campaigns, but you come to realize that you're not making money. Why is that? Because you're not able to calculate the cost per unit, because you're not tracking your inventory. And then you're doing ad hoc buying from the supplier who will charge you sky high for the logistics cost. So those are the things that you can improve on, but you have to start somewhere. Now for retail, uh, I don't know why they don't start from point of sale. See, point of sale is an easy way to start off with digitalization, because it's sort of like using a calculator, but a calculator doesn't store information, but the point of sale does. So just by looking at the trend of, say, 1 week, you know how much goods you sold, you know how many transactions you have performed, you know what's the average transaction value, and if you have membership, you know how many times a loyal customer comes in. So all that helps you to improve and design your business to cater for customers. And there's no point in having a menu of 50 items when only 10 items are selling. So you can make informed decision and say, you know what, I'm just going to focus on maybe just 10 menus, and then I can do specific engagement campaigns to bring them to make them come back for repeat visits, and then I keep rewarding them. So rather than acquiring new customers, a lot of people think that acquiring customers is easy, but in reality, the cost of acquiring new customers is higher than retaining old ones.
Actually, a lot of people are too fixated to acquiring new customers that they forgot about retaining customers.
Precisely.
Right.
So don't ignore the old customers, because once they go away, not only are they going away, they'll give you a bad rap, because they'll tell you that, you know, I've gone there 5 times a month and I don't even have a voucher. I don't even get a voucher. So we're talking about doing something that is forced, like sending birthday wishes. You have to do it organically as part of your business, as part of your brand, not like a engineered campaign where you collect data just to blast out a birthday wish. That doesn't bring value to you, because so what? I get a wish, but I don't feel like I'm going to go back to your shop. So those
actually,
are
what you say is true. That, you know, I mean, backing back up a bit, like when you touch on the menu, I come across some of you know, entrepreneurs in the F&B industry that try to do everything under the sun. So you have 50 menu items, right? Okay, but you know, when their business is in trouble, they come to me, and then I look at it and think, oh my God, when you have 50 menu, it means 50 items on the menu, right? You have to buy different types of raw material, you know. Correct. And you have no idea which one are actually going to work. Okay. So I said, what's your best selling item? Everything is best selling, you know, but cannot be lah. You see. So if you want to have like raw material efficiency in terms of, you know, structuring all these things, right, you need to have that data. Then you narrow down the inventory. I mean, narrow down the menu to those best selling ones, or those that are being accepted. The other ones are basically redundant, because there's no point focusing on it. And to do all that, right, we need data.
Right. So I'll give you another case study that we have. A cafe, right? They are doing business for about a year now, but their profit is not as high as they initially imagined. And so when they look into the data, they realize that the purchase decision for raw materials, we're talking about a Western fusion kind of cafe, right? So they have pasta, they have all these fried rice, they have chicken chop and all those things. And they discovered that the purchase decision was made by the chef, sorry, the chef. So the chef actually order over order in a way. For example, right, they actually ordered more potatoes than they need. So that potato is growing sprout, right, in the storeroom.
Yeah.
And what that means is that your money, your cash flow is stuck in inventory.
Yeah.
So if you have the data and you know, for example, if I'm selling, for example, 100 plates of salmon pasta, right? Obviously, you need 100 pieces of salmon, right? And then you also need maybe a few grams of flour. Each is serving. So if you can break down into a formula, you pretty much can anticipate, okay, based on last month's data, I know how much potato, how much flour, how much salmon I need. And so I can, first of all, buy bulk because I know there's a minimum that I need to sell, right? And then second, I don't have my money stuck in inventory. What's the point of buying 200 pieces of salmon and put inside the refrigerator because it's not fresh, and that affects the quality. So go just in time. So data is important to allow you to make informed decision.
Coming back to iBox Pen, I mean, I know iBox Pen is like a community, and that's probably an opportunity, for even new merchants, to expand their what you call customer acquisition, and of course, building loyalty, it could be retention. How does this iBox Pen work, and how does it help? Anyone here who are interested to be part of iBox Pen, to boost their sales. How does it help to boost their sales?
Our philosophy is that we are in the business of building tools for businessmen, business people, right? Our goal is not to build another Shopee or Lazada.
Yeah.
Okay. As much as you wish to become a millionaire, it's proven that you're stuck in thousands of merchants in those marketplaces.
Yeah.
Now, what we offer is tools that you can use in order to promote your business, to showcase your business. So iBoxFair.com is actually designed to be a tool that you can use to display your products, facilitate e-commerce. It's also a place where we can share a lot of information. And we also have features like reservation and even voucher selling. So if you can imagine, you can do a lot if you know how to use the tool. It's sort of like before I sell you a hammer, maybe you need to attend a basic carpentry 101 class. Then you'll know how to use the hammer, right? Hammer and saw and whatnot. So iBoxFan.com is an e-store tool. You can use it. You can apply the digital marketing techniques that you learn from any other coach, and you can promote that URL. Why? Why increase the traffic to an already crowded Shopee and Lazada? You might get some spillover, but I think in the long run, you are better off promoting your own entity, your own space, rather
Own brand.
than
Your own brand.
rather than get stuck in a very crowded marketplace where maybe initially people are curious, so they go to Lazada to find you, but then halfway through they get lost and go and buy somewhere else from your competitors. So it's not a win-win situation as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, actually, I just suddenly had an aha moment. The data that being collected from iBox Pen, and as far as the purchases are concerned, right, it also will contain probably even demographic data.
Of course.
And this demographic data, right, when any entrepreneur want to do what you call social media marketing or whatever, what you call online marketing and so on. These are very interesting and very useful data that can actually be used to create that profile of the target customer when you're doing all this marketing, right?
Right.
Those social
Right.
media marketing.
Right.
So yeah, it needs quite a very powerful tool actually, if you know how to use it right. So
Right,
do you offer training for anyone, you know, of your so-called your customers to actually really know how to optimize those tools or not?
I think for the first step, that we expect that maybe they have some basic understanding of, say, for example, digital marketing. So really doesn't require much training. However, moving
Okay.
forward, we can actually work with Jan to come up with specific content that is focusing on using our tools specifically to conduct e-commerce campaigns or even social media campaigns. So
Ah,
that's my plan moving forward.
yeah. So you trigger out my another question already. The big question is, how much is it?
Okay.
You didn't mention in your slide, so now I have to ask the question. I think it's in
Okay.
everybody's mind. How
Okay.
much is it?
I'll go with the low entry one. As part of our collaboration with Jian, and of course, I also am a fellow entrepreneur and also an underdog.
Yes.
Those who become member of Jian will when they create products under the product catalog under Jian, uh, their product will be displayed under iboxfan.com. So they will
Okay.
get an e-store. The
Okay.
setup fee is waived.
Okay.
However, there is a cost, a setup cost for the payment gateway.
Yeah.
Because we don't control the payment gateway.
Correct.
Now, in exchange for that, for the waiver of the setup fee, for our setup fee, we impose about a 10% transaction fee.
What? 10%?
10% transaction fee,
Okay.
service fee, for
Okay.
every transaction that goes through our platform.
All right. Cool.
Okay, now, if you are a retailer and you want both the offline and online, we have a package that sells for 2638 uh, 2638 before discount from Jian. With
Okay.
the Jian discount, you will get a further 20% discount.
Wait. I need to stop you from here.
Okay.
Time out. Now, I just want to clarify, right? When you talk about membership,
Right.
we are referring to the effectuator lifetime members. That means
Correct.
paid subscriber, right? So
Right.
not the basic members. So if you are an effectuator lifetime member, you will get that privilege as what Razak has mentioned, right? Because you know, if you go into the GAM platform, there is a product profile in the GAM platform. Right? If you really exploit it properly, there's a product profile under the member setting. And from there, you can upload your product, you know, and all the things that you need in there. However, only E3 effectuator members have that privilege to actually integrate it into the iBox fan system. Okay, so I need to clarify that. So it's not everyone in GAN will get this kind of privilege. You have to be an E3 effectuator member. Okay. Now,
Right.
you want to be an E3 effectuator member, you can contact me, or you can contact Kelvin or Daha, right? To do the upgrade of the to E3 effectuator member. All right. Okay, continue on.
All right. So for again for the selected members, you are entitled for an additional 20% corporate discount when you subscribe to our OMO platform, which retails at 2638.
2638,
So after discount, it would be our discount. It would be 2237 SST SST included.
2237 20% discount.
20% discount, but you add in another 6% SST.
Wait lah, tunggu. 2368.
2638.
Oh,
2638.
times 0.8. Okay. Got it.
Okay, so that is
Yeah.
inclusive of SST.
Okay.
That is an annual rate, but there is also the option of a monthly subscription.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
I will love that. Let's talk more about that, right? Thanks for the offer to E3 Factorator members.
And
Hey,
of
one
course,
more. Go
yeah.
ahead.
So don't. This rate is only special for E3 only. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
E3,
don't go
thank
around
you.
telling people.
No problem. And second thing is this. What about manufacturers? Can they benefit from this system if they are manufacturers?
I would say no, unless they actually use our ERP solution.
Okay.
Because they don't have a market fronting entity like a store. But if they are manufacturers with workshops or they have retail presence, then yes, they can use our point of sale.
There are some like manufacturers, but they also do retail. That means they have their own brand, right? And
Then obviously they can. In fact,
okay.
we do have a solution. Our post, we have a customized post that even has a service bay option in there, so they can track the cars coming in and out, and that service bay is linked back to the point of sale as well, so that they know what parts are required for servicing.
I see. Okay.
So there's a custom-made point of sale for specifically automotive workshops.
I see. All right.
If there are any interested parties, yeah, I'll be more than happy to explain further.
Okay. I got one comment here by Bob Blay. He says, "I love to know more." So I don't really know what you mean by Bob. What you mean by "I love to know more"? Bob?
I think maybe I'll leave it to you and your team, Andrew, to gather this. If they need more information, I'll be more than happy to share.
No problem.
But by extension, you also can represent us to promote this product.
Okay. Oh, one more thing. You know, because E3 is regional, right? In fact, we are going global with Pakistan and India coming in. Are you open to? I mean, is your solution available or not outside of Malaysia?
We are starting off with the local solution, but of course, our ambition is to go beyond our shores. So definitely, our next step is to apply for international payment gateway. In fact, our goal even before the pandemic was to facilitate cross-border payment. What that means is that if assuming that you are a user of say GoPay or OVO, you can come and buy stuff at our merchant, and the payment will deduct from your wallet, so you don't have to top up local wallet. So that's what we mean by cross-border payment.
Okay, but what I meant was because we have members in, just say we have members in India and Pakistan, can they also become, be part of what you just offered to our E3 members? Or they have to wait?
They probably have to wait, because I think I remember that we also spoke about partitioning, right, or geofencing. So you will have Thailand, you have Indonesia, E3, Jian, and then so I think it'll come along when we are ready to expand that market. The payment solution will come along.
Go together with E3.
Yeah. So that's the plan. That's the plan.
Okay, good. All right. Anyone here got any questions that you want to ask instead of me asking? Or I already asked on your behalf already. Any questions? Don't be shy to ask. Or if you are shy to ask, you want to put it into the chat. Anyone? No?
Going once, going twice.
Everybody very quiet.
Soul.
I know quite a lot of people here. Oh, got one question. Wait, let me think about question. Okay, no. Thank you, Wazak, for the informative session. Okay.
No question, Andrew. Basically, still digesting the information. It's. Thank you, Inchet Razak, for the very informative presentation.
Mm.
Okay.
It's
Thank you
good,
for
but
the.
it's a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I'm not so knowledgeable about these things, so it's gonna take me some time to digest and process it.
It's okay.
Okay.
I'll
All
be
right.
happy if you can absorb 20%.
Okay, okay. Now there's one question from Sharon. She asked, what accounting system integrate with, with Duogo or iBlockchain? And because you said that it prepares bank account statements, so I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. The accounting system that we can integrate with is AutoCount, because
Oh, okay.
AutoCount has a well-developed API library, not so for SQL. We going with AutoCount at this point. Now, as to bank statements, we don't have that feature, although we have the ability to consolidate all your transactions from various e-wallets. If you, let's say you use all 8 wallets that we support, all of those transactions plus the cash will be consolidated under one account. So you don't have to go to different merchant wallets uh, to check your balance. So all that is consolidated.
Oh, now Bob Lay has written on the chat. Say, sorry, I came in late. Love to know how you could integrate with e-commerce, or you already have an e-commerce.
Well, I mean, coming back to our OMO package, which is online merge offline. Once you subscribe to our OMO package, you'll get an account for offline. That means that if you open a store, you can use it to accept cash, 8 e-wallets, and even FBX. If you wish to own a payment terminal for credit card, we can also provide that to you. Now, once you have set up your point of sale, automatically the product listing is published on the web in a form of an e-store. So you will also have an e-store presence as part of the package.
Okay.
Okay, so that means that you don't have to key in twice. That same picture or different picture, obviously, for e-commerce, people want to see maybe a variety of pictures. So you can actually post it up, add on to the point of sale, and it will publish it for online.
Hey, can put services in as well. Can sell services.
Yeah, we can. You can. Before the during the pandemic, we actually help beauty salons to promote their business, and even created an appointment scheduler so that you can set appointment. But more recently, we are releasing a feature whereby you can create discounts for a specific time frame of the day. This is to facilitate reservation. Meaning that, for
Now
example,
go ahead, go ahead.
so for example, between 10 to 12, which is a low period, right? Where there's no customers, you can say 10 to 10 o'clock, you come by, I'll give you 20% for the breakfast. And then at 11 o'clock, I'll give you 18%. And then 12, I'll give you 25%. 1 o'clock is usual, price as usual. So the whole idea is that people can make reservation in order to be able to get the discount that you offer for that time.
Well,
the
I
day.
can also do the same for my own if I do consulting.
Yeah,
I
you
could.
can. So for example,
Okay.
if I mean this would probably make sense for a gym
Yeah.
fitness
Yeah.
instructor. So they will say
Ah.
that, you know what, morning I'm free. So if you want to come by, there's a 20% off from my normal fees, which maybe is 80 ringgit. So I'll charge you 60 ringgit. But in the evening, there's no discount. So come quickly and reserve my time, and in order to get that discount.
Okay, Whether I want to. There are two people here who are asking questions, but I just follow up what Bob is asking just now earlier.
Yeah,
So he just say that can I say it also do inventory management? I think the answer is yes, right?
of course, of course. That is the foundation of the point of sale. So you will be able to do inventory management. You will be able to do stock in and stock out, right?
Okay. Okay.
And you will be able to also monitor the numbers. You can also set triggers for, say, low stock,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Sharon asked the question. Can it integrate with Shopee, Lazada, and other e-commerce store? Or what e-wallet you use? And you pay included?
Currently, okay, I'll just answer the last question first. UPay is one of our payment solution. So that offer, but we don't carry our own e-wallet because we are not a licensed e-money issuer.
Okay.
So we work with the payment gateways to facilitate acceptance of 8 e-wallets. The more popular ones like WeChat Pay, Alipay before the pandemic was popular. Then Maybank, Touch and Go, Mcash, Boost. I
GrabPay.
forget. Yeah, GrabPay, and then another one.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So total of 8 e-wallets, and of course, IPX also. So that means that you can generate a QR code for them to scan and pay, right? Our package is a annual subscription. As to whether we integrate with Shopee, Lazada, not yet, because I think the goal here is that we are a tool that if you have enough creativity, you can turn that tool into something big.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of
Yeah.
like I teach you digital marketing, and I teach you how to create a website and put interesting stuff in your website. Then you know how to sell your website.
Yeah.
I'm not. My goal is not to direct traffic to Shopee or Lazada.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the.
Actually, I don't encourage entrepreneurs to do a direct, to direct the traffic to Shopee and Lazada. It's always good to create your own e-commerce, because of the branding, and then you don't have to compete for attention. If I mean, if like me, I go to Shopee and Lazada, I will be comparing price already. I compare Shopee first, compare Lazada, then I compare whatever within Shopee and Lazada, to make my purchase decision. So you don't want that. You want people to really, come to you for your brand, right? And then eventually buy from you consistently. And that's why I've been preaching to all the entrepreneurs under my program. Right? Do your own e-commerce website. That's the most important thing.
I think there also the question is directed to uh, ease of management. I think the question is probably more related to ease of management. I know that there are some hosting providers that provide that functionality, uh, whereby you can manage all your stores in one place, and of course inventory and logistic into one place. I'm sorry we don't have that feature at this point of time. We just provide you the platform to be able to put up and display your products, to organize marketing campaigns, to get people to buy your products.
Yeah, there's another question again by Sharon. It says that it knows demographics. Can it post to social media or any email marketing platform?
Okay, how we are different from a typical e-wallet is that when you utilize our membership program,
Mm.
all this data is given to you. We
Yeah.
don't keep the data.
Mhm.
What that means is that our membership module allows you to collect a lot of information from the members, and
Yeah.
you are free as long as I guess as long as it's opt-in, you are free to utilize the information to improve your business, I guess.
All
So
right.
it's really up to you how you want to use the data.
All right. But does your system actually, able to channel, allow me to do like social media marketing directly or even email marketing? Did it integrate to an email marketing engine, or does it
Uh,
integrate with Facebook or whatever?
at this point, it is integrated with the SMS and email marketing, but not social media. But as
Okay.
to sharing posts or sharing the product URL or QR code, that's available, but not a central repository for managing your social media campaign. No,
I
we
see.
don't have that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Okay.
But
Any more?
you can
Go
use
ahead.
our broadcast feature
Mm.
to promote to iBox fan users,
Mm.
which we have a dedicated app for. So you can reach out to them through the broadcast. So you can have a personalized message as well.
I see. How big is iBox Pen?
Currently, it's not big because, as I said, we being a startup, we don't have enough, we don't
Yeah.
have big pockets to do marketing. But what we hope is that every merchant can fully leverage on the tools that we provide and just get your members, customers to download, and you will be able to send vouchers. They can sign up for membership. They can track their spending, all that through the app. So
Okay.
think of it as a tool. Think of it as a tool that you can utilize.
Okay. All right. Um, That's a question. How does it differ from Shopee and Lazada? The cost per transaction is different. The iBox Pen not be crowded. iBox Pen members not only our own followers. So I think that will be the last question for the day. But that, so how you plan to answer this?
Well, the Shopee Lazada model, obviously the setup fee is free, but you will still have to pay, I think, between 10 to 15% transaction fee, right? For every transaction that goes through your system. Now, obviously, they have a lot of money for marketing, and they promote their 10, 10, 11, 11, 12, 12 like frequently, right? And so they are able to generate traffic. Now, what we provide, on the other hand, are a suite of tools that you can utilize. So for your member, they are not, for the members, the benefit that they get is that they can get access to your discounts because they are a frequent customer of yours. So they can, first of all, they can sign up to the membership, and our membership is tiering. That means that they can start from silver to gold to platinum, each with different discount rates. So you can actually set it up that way. So you is designed to create engagement so that first they volunteer information about themselves to you so that you can do analysis. Second, you can do periodic campaign to promote your products. Uh, for example, you can give away vouchers. You can have vouchers for Christmas, Chinese New Year, Hari Raya. You can do all kinds of vouchers, right? Without having to print a single voucher. So all that is distributed digitally to the member.
I feel like
And
it's very much to do with very retention, you know. As I can
yeah,
imagine the customer journey, right? Yeah, you may get customers from everywhere, including Shopee and Lazada, but eventually you need to centralize them into a system. that system is assuming that it's iBox pen or the iBox piece that you have, and then ultimately use the tool that is available to continue to do retention. That's the keyword, the retention, because it's very difficult to do retention if you don't have a system.
Right.
Right, and you probably can't do that in Shopee and Lazada. So there's a very different kind of proposition. Shopee and Lazada marketplace, right, get you the customer acquisition, but then ultimately you need to draw them somewhere where you can continuously retain them, and it's much easier to retain them.
One of the ways, Andrew, that we help the merchants to improve their cash flow is by allowing them to sell stamps. What that means is that, for example, right, you have a breakfast set, right? A breakfast set which is about maybe 10 ringgit. Now, you can sell a stamp of 10 sets of breakfast sets. Instead of selling at 100 ringgit, you offer it at 80 ringgit. Okay, so
Yeah.
they get a saving of 20 ringgit, and every time they come, they just show the QR code, their customer QR code, and the stamp, of course, the quantity of the stamp reduces.
Yes.
But you have improved your cash flow because you are now able to collect 80 ringgit upfront, and you are able to engage with the customer and created customer loyalty. Now you know that they will come back 10 times, correct?
Right. Yeah.
And then every time they come, they're not just going to grab the breakfast set. They're going to tap out a cappuccino or grab another pie or whatever. So that's how you should see it.
Yeah.
And another way that we can feature that we only release to trusted merchants is the ability to top up. It's a top up value. For example, if I know that you are a frequent customer, I can allow you to top up. Say for example, pay me 100 ringgit. I'll give you a value of 120 in your wallet. I'm keeping a wallet for you. So today when you pay me 100 ringgit, you are going to get back 20 ringgit extra. Next time, just show me your QR code or show me your handphone number, and I will deduct from there.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like you're going there totally cashless. You don't have to bring a single cent, but because you are so familiar to that merchant, the system can monitor and say, right, Raza came here all the time. So, you should, he's now getting 20 ringgit extra value. Right?
So you can say like, since you're a frequent customer, your next top up, right? We give you an extra 20 ringgit.
Yeah. So now they are saying that now they are forced to come back, right? Because I already have 100 ringgit of my hard-earned money in your shop.
Yeah.
So next time, I'm just going to bring a bunch of friends, right?
Yeah.
I don't have even to show any. I don't even have to bring my wallet. I just charge it to my bill.
Yeah.
Now that's literally charging to the bill.
Hmm.
That's like having your own buku 35.
Yeah,
That's how you improve your cash flow.
That's right. That's right.
So
Very good.
imagine these tools are not yet available in I would say almost all point of sale systems that you see in the market.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I think that's about it. It's a wrap. Now it's 5:34, already over time, right? And I thank for a very interesting discussion and also interesting questions from the audience, right? I am sure there are also some. So again, if you are an E3 Effectuator member, if you will have the privilege to have your product to be displayed and an e-store created under the iBox pen. Right, and also a 20% discount if you intend to subscribe the full functionality of the system. So this is a very generous offer from Razak. If I'm not wrong, right, the 2638 actually is a very generous offer because the entire system is worth 12,000 ringgit a year. So they have actually given us a very special price for this as well. Okay, so thanks Razak for your sharing, and I'm sure there will be some who are interested to ask you more questions. Later on, I will direct them to you when if they do ask questions. And to all, thanks so much for attending. And the next MYOB is going to be very interesting, okay? Because that next MYOB will be on May the 8th. May 8th. And May 8th, we are focusing on marketing. Okay, marketing. And we have invited a speaker from Penang. He is the author of a book called Onion Marketology. And I specifically invited him to give a talk in MYOB because I can tell you one thing. When I read his book, I just realized that this is what all entrepreneurs will need. Because what he did was he actually outlined 101 examples of how you can, the different kind of tools. Examples, I mean tools, the 101 tools that you can use, right, in lead generation, in conversion, in retention, and a lot more. Okay, so do join us in the next MYOB number 5, and I'm sure you will get a lot of value out of it as well as what we also get from Raza and Duogo and all the other peer speakers that came online over the past 2 months. Okay, so with that, we would like to end the MYOB number 4 session, and I wish you all have a good week ahead and happy scaling, happy doing business. Thank you so much and goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Sayonara. Sayonara.
Bye.
Okay. I will going to end meeting for all.